this arc is really good. The best way I can describe this arc with Dojima Sensei, I'll call the Tsubaki school arc, is frustrating but very rewarding. Best way I can describe it. When we get introduced to Dojima, I did not like her whatsoever as a character. I thought that she was evil. I didn't trust her. She has bad motives. She's going to hurt our group. I was having all of these feelings. And just to go back a little bit, in this portion of the story, you have the preliminaries, or they're preparing for the preliminaries for nationals. Hotsuki's song that she played back when she got excommunicated from the Hotsuki group, Tenkyuu. This is the song that's going to be performed by the Koto Club. Now, Hotsuki had to get over the fact that, again, this is a song that she hates because when she played it, her mother excommunicated her. And it's funny because when Hotsuki listens to the song for the first time, she's just kind of like, I wrote this song and I played it in such a way, I thought, to where I wanted my mother to smile, to understand me. But since she played out her emotions at the time, what came out? Frustration, anger, depression, sadness. All of those emotions were very clear from her performance. And as we know, she got disqualified because she wasn't playing the piece as she was supposed to. But at the end of the day, she didn't get her feelings across to her mother. And now this opportunity at the Koto Club, and with Suzuka Sensei reworking Tenkyuu, this is now Hotsuki's time. This is her time to be able to communicate to her mother how she truly feels, to communicate that smile that she wanted to get across, that warmth. And I think the name for this whole entire song, Tenkyuu, I think the way the kanji is written means like cries or tears from heaven. And I think it's very appropriate when you think about what they end up doing in the performance itself. But back to Dojima. So Dojima comes in as a character who her whole purpose is to ruin the club. Dojima Sensei, Akira, and also her grandmother, they want to take over the Hotsuki group. And in order to do that, Hotsuki, the excommunicated heir, has to be out of the picture for good, and they're going to make sure that they ruin the Koto Club in the process, this one place where she quote-unquote belongs. And I don't know, when Suzuka introduced her as a sensei, I was just like, this man, I don't know what you're doing. I just started to like you, and then you introduced this into the club. I'm like, what is this? So again, going back to the frustrating aspects, as I was reading these chapters, I was very annoyed. I felt very similar to Koto and also Kudou, where they were just like, how can we even let her into the group? Like, she doesn't deserve to be here. She has bad intentions. When Akira approaches them and she says that all of you are bad, you don't have a good grasp of the fundamentals. You can't play one individual note and do it perfectly without it sounding dirty. At that point, Chika's just kind of like, she's calling us out. But she's right. And because of that, even though he knows that she might be there to mess with Hotsuki, trying to get in the way of the club, Chika's approach is the fact that the best way that we can get back at her is to prove her wrong. She's teaching us stuff that is going to make us better. She's not wrong. We don't sound that great when you compare it to how she plays, or you listen to how Hotsuki plays. And Chika takes that as motivation. He practices so much to get better. And I really love that. I feel like we've always known that with this group in particular, they've been playing on emotion. They get emotion across very well, but they're missing that sound foundation that makes the Himesakas of the world or the Meiryos of the world very good Koto clubs. They have a strong grasp of how to play the Koto. And you have a group of kids who, honestly, half this group has played only for 1 year. Actually, not even, for less than 1 year. I can't. So Dojima actually has a very strong purpose in this arc of training the group, but what I really like about this arc in particular is how they take Dojima as a character, someone who I personally, again, I disliked her early, I really did, and they make her sympathetic, and then they make her a great character. When we get that flashback, and we see Akira with her brother Keishi, Keishi was a genius. He knew music so well, could do the Koto well, loved playing the guitar. It was very obvious that if anything for the Tsubaki group, this man would and should be the heir. But at the same time, he was someone who was very just like whimsical and he just did what he had to do, but everyone loved his music. Akira, she was somebody who whenever she played, she wasn't that good. She had to try and put in effort, but she could never win first like her brother. And one of the things that he said at one point is the fact that no matter how many times that he would fall down, no matter how many times he struggled, he was a hard worker. He may be a genius, yes, but he was a hard worker. He worked harder than anyone. And that's why, again, he was able to be the best. Now, what gets really tragic is the fact that when their parents die in a horrible car crash, Keishi retires from the Koto. He decides that he has to actually make a living, look after and support the family, and at the end of the day, like, his little sister, Akira, you'll become the heir. And he meant well by doing this. I completely understand why this had to be the case. The only issue that I had in this point in the story is that I feel so bad for Akira, who she puts this heavy burden on herself. In case she didn't want this, by the way, he didn't want her to put such a burden on herself. He just wanted her to try hard, do her best because she likes the Koto. But at the end of the day, she keeps thinking to herself, I have to be my brother. I have to show that through working hard and doing all this stuff, even though I can't be a genius like him, I can come in first. And for her grandmother, who's very manipulative, by the way, the grandmother is another character I truly hate. And to be fair, I kind of still I don't care for her still, but nonetheless, it is what it is. She spent 2 years on one song, 2 years to bridge that gap. And she literally meticulously played this song over and over and over and over, to the point where when she gets to this competition, she's convinced that she can win it. And this is the same competition, everybody, lo and behold, where you have Hotsuki come in and basically get disqualified. But from the moment the first note was played by Hotsuki, she played that first note, everyone knew this is a genius. Akira knew this is a genius. And automatically her world started to crumble and she started to descend into darkness. Because she won that competition, but realistically she knows in her heart of hearts that regardless of how good my performance was, I'm not as good as she is. And then people are saying, oh, well, you know, she won because of disqualification and all this other stuff. And it just sullied the win to the point where she can no longer even take happiness in it. So when you see Doujima today, it's very understandable why she's very sad, she's bitter, she's in this darkness, and her hatred towards Hotsuki. And think about it from her perspective as well. She doesn't know Hotsuki was having these family issues. She never knew any of this. From her point of view, Hotsuki is this genius prodigy who didn't take the competition seriously and basically tried to make a statement that, oh, I'm so good, I don't have to even play by the rules and do all this nonsense. And again, for Akira, her hatred, I think honestly, as bad as it is, I kind of get it. I kind of get why she ended up the way that she did. It's sad. But now here's the rewarding part of this whole entire arc. Chika, Kudou, Koto, Kurata, Saniyatsu, and Sakai, they all improve. They all get better at the fundamentals. They become better. And it's, again, thanks to Doujima sensei. It's all because of her. Even though she was very rough with them and she was trying to break their spirits, the Koto Club showed at the end of the day their bonds and their love for Koto and trying to, again, become a group that will go to nationals, to go with Kudou, to go with Kurata. That propels them, and they became so much better. Then on top of that, you have Hotsuki and also Doujima have a moment. Doujima speaks with her, and she confronts her about that moment when she played Tenkyuu and what was going through her mind. And she ends up learning the truth. She learns that Hotsuki had problems with her mother. She learns that she was lashing out in that moment, and she just wanted her mother to hear her. And in that moment in time, the darkness that's holding Doujima, that's holding her back, it starts to dissipate because she can empathize so strongly with Hotsuki. As two young women who were both under a lot of pressure, had a lot of issues because of the family stuff going on. We think about Doujima with her grandmother trying to like push her and everything like that, and the stuff Hotsuki, she understood all too well what it was that Hotsuki was feeling, and she no longer felt that this is just a case of a genius snubbing their nose at me or trying to seem like they're better than me. And she finally lets go. All of that hatred, all that resentment, Doujima lets go. And I think for me, that was arguably my favorite moment of the entire arc, until the last part, of course. And then when the two of them played that ensemble together, it was just like, it was beautiful. And then for Chika to realize again, like how far off he still is from trying to even be on the same level as Hotsuki, I think that's a very sobering moment. It's an important moment. And it kind of fuels their relationship as well that they've always had, both from a romance standpoint and a rivalry standpoint, because he does view her like a legitimate rival. So everything about this was great, and I love how Doujima, because she sees firsthand how hardworking the group is, they win her over. They absolutely win her over, and now she earnestly wants to be their teacher. She earnestly wants to try and help them to succeed. But then, of course, the grandma's to come in, and she's just like, I'm going to ruin the Koto Club. I'm going to completely destroy them. Because she senses that her granddaughter, is wavering a little bit. So she calls all the group together, the Hotsuki group and everything, and she tries to make it seem that the Koto Club is a bunch of, misfits who they don't care. She sounds like the vice principal, by the way. They don't care about the Koto. They're just playing make-believe. And then she brings up the past of Chika, about how he led this group of people and killed his grandfather. And every time his backstory comes up, and this is a story that people spin about him and his grandfather, and we know how much that he cares about his grandfather, it sickens me. Absolutely sickens me. So when she pulls this, I love the fact that Dojima's just like, no. So Akira stands up and she tells it like it is. She's just kind of like, no, this is not the way that they are. You've completely misjudged all of them. And grandma, quite frankly, you're just doing this for the succession, and you haven't properly faced the Koto in years. And these kids over here, they are facing it earnestly. They do actually want to go to nationals. They do have good intentions. And just like that, because her own granddaughter speaking out against her, the whole group is just kind of like, yeah, grandma's without merits. We don't care about her. Let's move on. And I love that. Absolutely love it. And for me, it was a perfect conclusion to the arc. As a mangaka, and I keep saying this, to take a character that I dislike, really dislike, and turn them into a character I really love, very good writing. She starts off as an antagonist, a villain type of a character, and by the end of it, she's the greatest support you can argue for the Koto Club, and going forward going to be one of the big reasons if they are able to A, win preliminaries, and B, go to nationals, because she's established in them a Koto culture, an ability to do the basics and then to go above and beyond from a technical standpoint, which is going to help them all the more so as, again, their individual sound has to be good. In order for the Koto Club to truly ascend, they can't just be a collection of just purely feelings, but each and every one of them have to be solid Koto players. That is the key. So truly love this arc. It was, again, as I said before, it was frustrating and then very rewarding. Doujima Sensei, one of my favorite characters now. I love her. Absolutely love her. So with that, everyone, that is the Tsubaki School arc. We'll be going to the next arc shortly. I'm going to start reading probably very soon. So let me know your thoughts once again in the comment section down below, how you felt about this particular arc, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm Leonard, and I'm out. Take care, everybody. Peace.